Hello, how hihani washite. Good morning, matakiapi. Good morning, relatives. I'm going to welcome you to my home, and I'm going to do a reading out of the Elder's Meditation book today, out of this book. And for those of you that don't know me, it's good to meet you. Thankful that you found your way to my page. This is going to go on Facebook and also YouTube. The YouTube is pretty new, so if you'd like to like and subscribe, I sure appreciate it. And if you're watching on from Facebook, that means maybe you've seen my videos before. I just want to say thank you. And I sure hope that no matter where you're coming from, that you're having a good day. I always like to get started with a virtual smudge, and so I'll do that. I use northern sage, prairie sage, however it's called, that I pick myself, and then I use cedar that I pick myself as well. The reason why I like to do that is I know that it's picked in a good way according to traditional customs, out of respect and tradition that exists between the plant nations and the two-legged, the human being. So I always want to make sure that I use sage that I picked myself, because it has been done that way. So we'll go ahead and do that. And I'll be hanging on to an eagle feather throughout the reading today. And I will let you know, just as a disclaimer, or whatever the proper word for it would be, is that this isn't a professional thing. This is just a Native American indigenous dude sitting in his home that wants to have a spiritual life. I want to have a spiritual life, and I also want positivity and deeper awareness and reflection in my life. So if something perceivable as negative is a result of this reading, I will look at it as something that, those words negative and positive, I really have a hard time with, because nobody is always positive and nobody is always negative. And so I kind of have a hard time. And also, I will let you know that I am a recovering drug addict and alcoholic. I'm 30 years sober. So sometimes I will relate my recovery and my sobriety, because it is such a big part of my life, in the reading. But this isn't an anti-drinking or anti-drug message. So if you drink, then you know, I honor you no matter what. And if you have a problem with drugs, I honor you no matter what. I'm just saying, it's hard for me sometimes to find the words how to say things, and so I'll just leave it at that. So here's today's reading for July 30th. Words hypnotize and deceive everyone at one time or another, but these hypnotic words cannot last long in the hearts of true warriors. We are part of an interconnected system. Words in themselves have no meaning. It is the spirit and intent behind the words that really show the meaning. We are connected to each other at the center of the atom, which makes up the air and our body. The center of the air's atom system is connected to the center of our body's system. I am connected to you, and you are connected to me in the center of our being. If my words have no meaning, you can feel this through the center of your being. And then there's a brief prayer at the bottom. It says, Great Spirit, help me make my word good. Let me do the things I say I will, and let me say the things I will do, and do it. Okay, so the power of words and the power of intention, insincerity, and things such as that. We know, of course, when we are growing up, we heard things such as sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, and something like that. But we know in our adult ages, the use of words is important. It's very important. And, it's something that I've been struggling with recently, but also at the same time have really um, opened up my spirit in such a way. Um, things are tough these days, relatives. Things are very, very difficult. But they're also beautiful. So there is a balance, but sometimes it just feel like I'm out of balance. I'm in a situation these days where I need a lot of support. I mean, I'm in a situation these days where I've never been before. I've never been at this point in my life before. And so it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle in words. They say that, and I'm looking at the Elders Meditation, and they say that words hypnotize and deceive everyone at one time or another. I know in the past that I've been guilty of that. I've said things that are insincere. I've said things that are hurtful. I've said things. I'm guilty, okay? I'm guilty, and sometimes I'm still like that. You think, well, do you ever learn? Yes, I do learn. I do learn, and I'm not making excuses for myself, but sometimes it just builds up inside, and it comes out. And it comes out in an unhealthy way. It comes out in ways that I didn't intend them to be. It just kind of surprises me sometimes that I can still be like that. But certainly, I'm very thankful that there has been a lot of progress. So I'm just here to admit that, and I'm hoping that somebody out there understands. In fact, I know somebody out there will understand. I'm not the type of person anymore that tries to hypnotize people on purpose by use of my words. Whoops. But I know that use of words is really important, and also the non-use of words is really important too. Sometimes I just want to get mad, and I just want to say the heck with it, and that's not usually towards a certain person in particular, but that certain person might be the unintended target or the unintended victim of that type of frustration and with life. And so that happens. We know that happens. That's very human for us to happen. And that usually really, sorry, I'm hearing all kinds of beeps and stuff like that. But recently, I've just been in a situation lately where words really do matter. But also not only words, but action. Because I have a relative that is that's going through an extreme time with an illness, and my brother, he's walking through it with the most courage and the most spirit, and that I've ever seen anybody go through something, and I've been fortunate enough there to be by his side. I'm not by his side today because I have my own health procedure tomorrow. Otherwise, I would be closer to him. He lives, thankfully, he lives 100 miles away from me, and I can get there. But it just seems like a lot of things have happened at once. My car broke down, so I'm renting a car. Somebody very close to me, a gal, through all of this, I got really angry, not at her, but out of this, everything building up, and that pushed her away. And so her and I are no longer together. And things just really have peaked out for me. and it's been very difficult. Even the words that need to be said have been very difficult. Um, Even this reading and finding the words to share to you with you are very difficult for me to find and to say, because I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. I don't want to. Um, it's just hard for me to find the words, relatives, and so. I think at this time, and a lot of times that we need more than just words. Words are great, and we say things. I've been hearing a lot of people saying, "Oh, my thoughts and prayers are with you. My thoughts and prayers are with you." I even got into it with with an elder. Like, I don't know. This is like 10 years ago. And I said, enough of this thoughts and prayers stuff. We need action. We need action. We need action. And of course, obviously, thoughts and prayers are important. At one time, I didn't believe in prayer. I didn't want nothing to do with it. And that was quite rational. But something happened along the way where I really started to believe in those type of things, and I consider myself a spiritual person, relatives. I don't consider myself a religious person, and nor is this an anti-religious talk. But I'm just at a point where we are at a point, and when I say we, I mean myself and my family, where we love the prayers, because prayer is very important. My brother and I pray every day together. We pray for other people. We smudge. But we're also doing things that are in action. And yesterday we were speaking in front of a group of over 40 people. And our goal was to let them know that they're relatives. And it went very well. And then this week we'll be speaking in front of newcomers that are new in treatment for alcohol and drugs, so they're at a turning point in their lives. And in other words, thoughts and prayers are wonderful, but we need a little bit more than that. Everybody needs more than just thoughts and prayers, because if you came to me and you were going through a difficult time, and my response was thoughts and prayers, my thoughts and prayers are with you. And we do this through text. I get texts that say my thoughts and my prayers are with you. It feels a little bit empty, I'll be honest with you. I mean, come pray with me then. You know what I mean? Come pray with me. Let's pray together. But when we're going through certain particular areas of our life, words definitely have an impact, because being able to say things that comes from our spirit and that need to be said. I had a loved one for the first time ever apologize, and even though it was through a text, it meant the world to me. It just meant everything. As soon as that text arrived, I saw it. It shifted my whole perspective. So the words, I'm not going to minimize words, and I'm also going to maximize words. There's a good balance. Words make a difference. There was a time when I couldn't say I love you. I just couldn't say it. It just felt wrong to say I love you, because I was raised in a home where you didn't say those type of things. You didn't express any emotion, or whether it be positive or negative. And it was more of an inclination to believe that if there was going to be any emotion, any deep emotion that is, then it was going to be something that was very harmful. And so I really had been socialized and habituated brought up in the habit to dehumanize myself, dehumanize my emotions, dehumanize other people, and there wasn't. I didn't mean for that to happen, but certainly I wanted deep relationships in my life. I still want deep relationships in my life, and so words matter. Words matter. They matter, and I got to admit, though, that there needs to be more than just words. Many times throughout our lives, there needs to be touch. I know that they say that a hug, a 20-second long hug can completely change the body, can certainly change the mind, can certainly change the experience. And so words alone can matter, definitely. Like I said, that text that I received that issued an apology, or just checking up on somebody, just, you know what I mean, like the thought that somebody's thinking about me, or I'm thinking about somebody and I want to let them know. I mean, that has made all the difference in the world. Or a phone call has made all the difference in the world. And also to get to know somebody new, and to try and find those words, like if it's a romantic situation and you're trying to find the words to express that, but that can be really challenging too. That can be, I mean, I think and so there's that type of words. There's the type of words where that aren't said too. The impact of words that aren't said. How we feel like when we care about somebody, or when we're angry and we know that, oh man, I could have said this. Man, what is the deal? I could have said this. So words matter all across the emotional human spectrum, and that comes with a lot of emotions across our experience as well. Like, man, I got some regret. I could have really proved my point under the situation. And there can be some regret there. And there can be some regret there too if there's somebody special that is no longer in our lives, that maybe we said something or didn't say something or anything like that. So definitely words matter. Definitely. I know that they do, because like I said, at one point I was just terrified to say I love you. I just was. And now that was something that I decided at that time that I was going to change. That was something that I could control, that I could manage. I can't manage or control anybody else's words or how they respond or what they say to me, but what I can do is I can manage and control what I say to other people. Now, there are times when I'm completely out of control. Those times are typically few and far between. Like I said, there was a situation. I'll be real honest. I'll break down the situation, relatives. Okay? So a dear loved one of mine is very, very sick, going through an extreme challenge. And I'm talking as extreme as it gets, okay? And I had just gotten off the phone and received some news about his condition. And it was almost, then I got in the car immediately. Like, I literally just got off the phone and received this news that I did not want to hear. Very, very tough news that I did not want to hear. And that's putting it mildly. And then I got in the car with this person that I really care about. And I was just in this state that I can't even describe. Okay? And then next thing you know, like she had to step on the brakes suddenly and my water went flying, and next thing you know I just flipped out. Like that would never, that might have been a situation where I normally would laugh at, or I would like I acted completely not like myself. And I just, oh my gosh, it was just like an out of body experience. It's just like when you watch the movies and you see the movies and you see somebody going through a very, very, very difficult time, and next thing you know, they're just losing it. They're flipping out. They're losing it. That was me on this day. And it happened, and I regret that it happened because I said some things that I normally wouldn't say, and I certainly said them in a way that I normally wouldn't say them. And now that person is no longer in my life as a result of that. I don't understand that. I don't, because I know me. I know me. I know that that wasn't me, but I also know that when you're going through a hard time, that is something that is relatively normal. I was told that through a support group. They said, yeah, that's going to happen in these type of situations. So they knew, and they were able to comfort me. And because I just felt so ashamed and so down on myself that I couldn't let it go. I couldn't forgive myself. And then these people that understood the situation that I was in, they told me, yeah, we've been there. That is kind of normal for that to happen as you journey through this situation. And so that is an example of words, the uses of words. And so so for myself, lately we've been getting a lot of people saying those type of things, thoughts and prayers, but at the same time I feel like we've needed a little bit more than just thoughts and prayers. We need people. We need that touch. We need those hugs. We need conversation. So, thoughts and prayers. Whew, that is making a difference. Trust me, relatives. That's not to minimize that impact. That is making a difference. But there are times that if we can, that we need to have conversations. And we need to have those hard conversations. And we need to have those type of conversations that we know that I can say things that are on my mind and trust that I'm trying to process whatever it is that on my mind, because lately just things have just really been sort of overwhelming. And to have somebody there to have a conversation with, and to listen and to talk, and the usage of those type of words has been definitely the difference maker. Definitely have really helped. And so it is the spirit and intent behind the words that really show the meaning. And so I think that is something that, especially at this time, is that we really need, particularly in my family situation, but in life. And so that was a big lesson for me. And these teachings are so impactful these days that it's really putting life into perspective. What is really important in life? the use of words and the non-use of words and the intention behind them. I'm not interested in hypnotizing and deceiving anybody. At one time in my life, maybe I was, and in fact, I'm sure that I was. But you know, it just goes to show you that people change. People change, and when we give people, and we believe that people can change, and we give them that opportunity, in that belief, then that tells me that we are connected. That we are connected in that change, and those differences in words can bring us closer together, actually. So I like this prayer. It says, Great Spirit, help me make my word good. Let me do the things I say I will, and let me say the things I will do and do it. That can be very, very difficult, because sometimes we don't want to do something, but know in our heart that we do need to do that. Or we want to do something and we know that we shouldn't do that. So I like the fact that that we can pray about that, that we can ask, and that we can receive direction, and we can receive clarity, and then we can receive strength to continue to whatever it is that we need to do for ourselves. Sometimes we're afraid to do something. We're afraid to be there. We're afraid to say what's on our mind. We're afraid to, because of the situation. And so for myself, I have found that that the prayer life is a very spiritual life. That we are human beings, and we're also spiritual beings. And when we connect, and we know that, not just know that, but then we accept that, and we do those type of things, however it is. I'm not here to tell anybody that you should pray. I'm not here to tell anybody how you should pray. That is strictly up to you. But I do know the damage that it can be done when somebody tells me how I should pray. When somebody tells me that the way that I pray is negative. That there is something bad about the way that I use words, and about the way that I connect, and about the way that I am, and about the way that I have been and am the person that I am today. And so those are things that I need to be careful of. I don't really have control over somebody else in being able to do that. Those are some of the hardest discussions that they say. What do they say? Don't talk about politics. Don't talk about religion. Stay away from those type of discussions. And I can see that to be the case. That can be very, very difficult for everybody. And so I do have a lot of respect for that, but I do know the damage of that. I see it on a regular basis, as particularly with our Native American indigenous people who for generations and centuries have been told that if you don't look like us, if you don't sound like us, if you don't believe like us, then your way is wrong. And that was coming from people who came over here to this country because they were told that from the place where they had been kicked out of, or the place that they were fleeing. And so, in other words, if we're not careful, we will repeat what we don't like and pass that on. And so, I mean, I'm not innocent, relatives. You know, if you know me, you know that I got a lot to work on. I got a lot to learn. So I'm not here to preach. I'm just here to just sort of state those type of facts, because they are facts. and also share my experience. And my experience is that it can be very damaging through the use of words, but not only that, the belief behind those words. So if I believe, hey, it's wrong to have long hair, and I have long hair, but I don't understand the belief behind that long hair, and I've been told that it's wrong for a man to have long hair, my intention and my way of thinking is very, very limited. I just don't have the information about why it is that I have long hair, why it is that you have short hair, you grow a beard. You know, you see some religions and some people, their way of life is to grow a beard. I don't know why they do that. I have no idea, but I know that there's a purpose behind that. And so I'm going to just respect the fact that that's how they do things. Matter of fact, I admire it. And so the use of words connects us to each other. And it also just says that if my words have no meaning, you can feel this through the center of your being. You kind of know when somebody says something, you know, you kind of know, like I'll see it on social media, somebody is going through a very tough time, and then you just see people say thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. You kind of just feel like that's a little bit empty. Like, thoughts and prayers mean a lot. Don't get me wrong. My life has changed because of my ability to be thoughtful, because of my discovery that I can have a prayer life. But sometimes we need a little bit more than that, without a doubt. We need a little bit more. We need support. We need somebody to give us a hug. We need somebody to congratulate us. We need somebody to forgive us. We need somebody to love us. We need somebody that is going to accept us. Okay? So it you know, obviously I might be preaching to the choir, but thoughts and prayers, words, we know that sometimes when there is no meaning behind them, and certainly we know when there is meaning behind them. I'm just real grateful where I'm not interested in saying words that don't have any meaning behind them. I'm more interested in, I'll be real honest with you, and I'm more interested in being there to say those words. I don't like text. I do not like texting because I'm not good at it. I've had so many situations to where people think I said something because of text and the meaning was taken the wrong way. And then they said, well, you should have added a smiley face. You should have added a that kind of a thing. And I'm like, I don't know those things. I don't know no things. How about we just pick up the phone and we talk? You know what I mean? I've even had to ask that. I'd say, you know what? And had to apologize for something that I wasn't even guilty of. It's just this whole new world when it comes to texting. I've struggled with it. And I've literally had to say, can we just have a conversation on the phone, please? Because all of this, I'm better at this. And even then, I got a lot to learn about this. But the only way that I really know how to learn about this is to actually have that experience. And they say that we are paying a price, that there is something socially, mentally, emotionally, and probably without a doubt would be physically, that is changing within the human body, the human mind, and the human experience, and probably even spiritually, as a result of texting, as a result of relying on our natural, God-given, however you want to call it, voice, that we're not actually, because for me, like when I knew I was an alcoholic, I knew I was a drug addict for a lot of years before I actually got the help that I needed. But there was something about actually saying it, hearing myself say it, and admitting it to somebody else that had a deeper impact in it's just something to me that made a difference. So yeah, I know I could get better at texting to include smiley faces and stuff like that. And I've tried. So we got this new way of texting, but we have a generation of people that didn't grow up with cell phones, and I'm one of those. And we have generation before me that that didn't, so we have a whole generations of people who don't even know how to text or don't understand it and don't want to text. So we have a lot of generations that are left out of that, and to me that means a lot to me. That there are people that are their voices aren't being heard by, whether it be individual or collective or by email. So that's really important. And that makes us feel disconnected. And they say the number one thing, the top priority in Maslow's hierarchy of whatever, but we know that connection rates very high on the human and spiritual experience. Like, I was driving yesterday and I don't go to church, but would I go to church? I would go to church. I honestly don't know much about church. I don't know. So when it comes up, when somebody's talking about it, I'll have questions that are almost like a child talking, because I don't know much about church. And I was watching these people leave the church, and I was wondering about them. And I knew that they went to the church for different experiences. They were there to listen to words that had intention, and they had meaning behind them, but I also understood the value of being able to socialize, and be heard, be listened to, your own words, feeling valued, that you matter, that you're important. And so I knew, I was watching these people and I was just fascinated, because I knew that that's what they were getting out of their church experience. They were wanting that. And I saw different ages and different groups of people, and I was just completely fascinated by it. And granted, this happened, I just passed by them and then they were gone, but I was thankful that they did have a place. I felt gratitude for them, or maybe I felt it from them, that they had a place that they could go, where they could pray, where they could fellowship, like my sister's saying. They could also develop friendships. They could receive encouragement. They could receive that connection. And so I felt really good for them. I did. Now, that didn't want to make me go to that church, but that's not to be judgmental against it. In fact, I did see somebody that I know, him and his wife. I know him and his wife. And yes, Lisa's saying it. My sister Lisa's saying it the same way. And so I saw them. They didn't see me. Nobody saw me. I was just kind of driving by. But I did notice that, and I did feel grateful that they had that. And so words are shared in those type of places. I love a good cup of coffee. I love a good cup of coffee, but it isn't the coffee. It's the time to sit down with somebody and just talk and listen to each other. And at one time, I used to do that over the bar stool or wherever, but there was something about it that I had to stop that because I needed to stop drinking for myself. I needed to stop, and so that was a whole learning situation right there. That I needed to redo, and I needed to relearn. That just goes to show you that I'm still a learner. I'm still a learner. But guess who's watching? My granddaughter. So she's watching, and she's a learner too. And so I'm also a teacher. And so the words, when I'm around my granddaughter, do you think that there's any cuss words that come out? No, absolutely not. I don't cuss that much. But there are times lately I've been doing a lot of cussing, but I don't typically like to use cuss words. That was just something that I said, oh, I could really do without it. I could cut back and I could really do without it. So that just goes to show you that the use of words is really, there can be a lot of, we can really manage that. We can really have choice in that matter, but again, during those really emotional times, they can just come flying out and they can really damage somebody. They can really bring somebody closer together in any type of way, or even the non-use of words. The non-use of words, I mean, like I said, it was really uncomfortable for me to communicate at one time. I mean, I was just terrified to communicate. And over a slow amount of time, I started to get comfortable with communication. People probably could read my body language and saw that I really had a difficult time with that, because if I started talking, my face would turn red, my voice would start quivering. I would just blush, and then my body would betray me. I didn't want you to know that I was so terrified, but yet, my body was telling me and telling everybody else that this guy's having a hard time. And what I found out is that people understand. They understand. They've been there. Some people, they don't understand because they have the gift of gab, and maybe they don't have that piece in their mind that is like compassionate. We know now that today that a lot of our political leaders simply don't understand. They don't want to understand. They're not even interested in the slightest in wanting to understand. But we know now that that is a quality. That is a quality on what a person is respectfully, what makes up a person, what makes a good person is that. And that can be, that can change somebody. It certainly changed me. I know that it helped me stay sober, and for me, that really helped my life. And again, this isn't an anti-drinking or anti-drug thing. That's not what I'm talking about here. But certainly the ability to use words really showed me more about life, and showed me and really helped my self-esteem. Really, when I was able to look in the mirror, I would start to shape differently the person that I saw looking back at me, because I was starting to become less afraid. I was starting to become and feel more connected to other people, and they were starting to feel more connected to me as well. And I really like that. I really, really like that. I never really experienced that to that degree as I did and continue to do today. So definitely, I know typically through that gut, through that intuition, is when somebody's trying to deceive me or to romanticize or is just saying things just off the cuff just to be saying those things. Those are the things we typically say. Oh, how's your day? We just kind of say that. You know, that's what we've been conditioned and socialized to say. How's your day? But do we really mean it? Do we really stick around to find out? That's just an example. I say it all the time. How are you? Hey, how you doing? That's just a way that we greet each other, you know. And I'm not coming down on anybody for saying that, but it's the situations when we actually do take the time out and the use of words to say, how are you today? You know, we've been conditioned to always say, oh, it's good, I'm fine. But we're not fine. We're not good. We're going through a lot. Maybe a relative is going through a lot. And when we're able to be there for one another, that is the heart of a warrior. That is a warrior. And I know that things can get busy, no doubt about it. We have to raise our kids. We have to do the things that we like to do just to keep ourselves in balance. But I know from experience, relatives, I know this from experience. I know this. I know this. If you're not going to believe me, then you're not going to believe anybody, okay? That's something that we have to do. That's the missing piece in the use of words. That's what's missing. I know science is trying to find what's on the other side of the universe, and that's good because we're learning more. Science is trying to find out what's on the bottom of the ocean, and we're paying millions of dollars to protect our country militarily. We're paying, and we have to make ends meet. But what really matters and what really what's really important, makes a difference, are those conversations. And if you're like at me, at one time you were just terrified to have those type of conversations. Just terrified. Now, trust me, relatives, that wasn't my fault, because that's what I had been taught and conditioned to. And I'm not blaming, that's not blaming either. But this society teaches us, and it just strengthens that belief that words don't matter. Look what's being said from the highest, from the leadership, and what our neighbors are saying now. Look what's being said. And so for myself, I know, and I've seen it time and time and time again. I see people, they're not starved for food. They're not starved. They're very healthy physically. I've seen people that are very unhealthy physically. And what they are starved for is those type of words that hold deep, deep meaning, to be listened to be heard, to be told, to be shared. That is the heart of a warrior. And not just that, Is how those things, not just on the cusp and on the go. And of course, we're all busy. We're all busy. We need to take care of ourselves. We need to pay the bills. We need to watch our shows. We need to do our jobs. We need to be well. We need to be well. But now we're at a point where we really need to start to assess and take a real hard look at ourselves on what is well. What does being well mean? And I've seen time and time again, so many people come into our talking circles, into our meetings, and they're just starved to be heard. They're starved to talk. And so it's not only a verbal thing, but it's also a physical thing. They needed to come to a place where they were able to get that sense that they could do that. And so that's why you're seeing more and more talking circles pop up, more and more, even online. I'm a part of these online talking circles, and they mean everything to somebody who, I know somebody who lives in the desert, in the mountains of the desert, and is 2 hours away from a city, and relies on those talking circles. So even online acceptance, love, sharing, connection. But certainly, man, there are times when we need that in person. And so right now I'm away from my brother right now, and I don't like that. I don't like being away from him. But I do have a medical procedure tomorrow that I need to be here. And so first things first is he called this morning and we talked, and that was good. I loved that. And so I thought the reading was really good today. It was very challenging for me to, you may have caught on to that, but it was very challenging for me this morning's reading, and that's why I don't like to edit these live videos, because I want it to be challenging. I want it to be uncomfortable. I don't want to be comfortable. I'm too comfortable going around, walking around saying, how are you? Thoughts and prayers and this, that, and the other on a regular basis. I want to, because that was the only way that I could change, was to feel uncomfortable, and for it to feel okay to feel uncomfortable, for it to feel safe to be uncomfortable, for it to feel like change was in that place of feeling uncomfortable. Of course, I'm not saying that you shouldn't feel uncomfortable. I'm not saying that at all. You should feel comfortable. But sometimes feeling uncomfortable is our bridge to having peace. Is our bridge when we are going through a situation where peace is kind of hard to find. It's very, very difficult. And so am I going to ignore the fact and continue to pick up on that old habit of dehumanizing my own experience at the cost of my own self-esteem, at the cost of my own value? Would you want me to do that to me? I wouldn't want you to have that experience. I wouldn't want you to feel less than. And so whatever it is that you're going through, I want you to find a safe place where maybe if you don't even know how you're doing, because this world teaches us to focus on the exterior, to I'm just fine on the outside, and if I can just be just fine on the outside, then maybe I'll just be just fine on the inside. And so we do live in a materialistic world where most of those resources are devoting to just appearing just fine. So then when somebody's not just fine, we just want to, we have a hard time with that. When we're not just fine, we really struggle with that. And that, to me, what takes away from what true warriorship, true what being a warrior is. And so my hope is that these videos, in the words that I use, that is the goal of where I can find that within myself. Because on every daily basis, yesterday I might have been great. Now today, now I gotta get ready for my procedure tomorrow. So sometimes it can't just be focus on today and just be in today. If I were to ask you to do that, that would be like asking you to be non-human. I have a procedure tomorrow that I have to worry about today. I have a loved one that has to worry about their future today. So I just want to, the goal of this video today is just to provide that. A safe place within self, within the internet. And if you want to connect with me, you're certainly welcome to do it. I'm not a professional at all. So it's not a professional thing like this. I'm the professional and you're the one that needs help. No. When it's being a relative to each other. That's what being a warrior is being a relative to each other. There's a whole lot more to being a warrior than going out and doing what we've been conditioned to believe are warrior things. In the old days, you weren't ready to be a warrior unless you had been shown and could show that you could treat everybody as a relative, even the enemy. So war was different back then. And so today, it's a beautiful day. And I hope and just want to just encourage you. I do this effort called Relatives in Recovery Support Line, and that is for people who are going through a hard time. It was geared towards people who don't want to talk to somebody that is a former drug addict and alcoholic. But now that I'm on YouTube, now I'm expanding that to if you are going through a hard time and need somebody to talk to. And so I put it out there. I have a flyer, but I will say my phone number is 605-491-0200. I'll take all the nasty texts. If you want to call and threaten me and argue, that's not what it's about. But I'm willing to sift through those and filter through those to that one person who might need somebody to talk to, because we are medicine with each other. While you'll be talking to me, I'll be talking to you. While I'm listening to you, you'll be listening to me. Connection. So that's it. I think I'll end the video. 605-491-0200. No matter where you're from, no matter what background you have, you are welcome to call me. And if you have to text me, and I know I'm kind of anti-text. I know I said that. But if you have to text me to say, hey, is it okay to call you? Or if my number, or if I don't pick up my phone, which is much of the case, you're certainly welcome to leave a message and I will get back to you. Trust me, I will get back to you. Okay, I think I'm going to let you go. I hope you got something out of the reading. Please like and support my page. I'm new at it. I'm not going to edit it. I'm just not. Maybe as I develop the skill set that I need to actually edit them. But in the meantime, I want it to stay raw. I want it to stay like that, just for you to see me walk through the uncomfortability of doing a live video. Maybe I'll get to editing and shorten them a little bit. In the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful day. I will talk to you later.